Hello everyone, and welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales. I'm Adrian, and today we've got a major story to unpack. A long-running saga of media bias, harassment, and finally, accountability. We're talking about Mike Graham's departure from TalkTV after years of targeting Meghan Markle, and we're going to explore why this happened now, and why it matters. So sit tight, because this isn't just a media headline, it's a turning point. Let's begin with the man at the centre of this. Mike Graham is a British journalist and broadcaster who has worked for years in radio and television. He's known for a combative style, provocative commentary, and more than once for stepping over the line of what we might call respectful discourse. On his platform at TalkTV, he had a show where he would critique, mock, and often outright harass public figures, among those figures being Meghan Markle. Over time, the pattern became clear. His commentary wasn't merely critical journalism, it increasingly crossed into personal attack territory. What we are seeing now is the consequence of that accumulation of behaviour. The network, his audience, and the public are no longer willing to tolerate it. And yes, karma seems to be at work here. Now let's talk specifically about his treatment of Meghan Markle. From repeated disparaging remarks, to mocking her motives, to questions about her character that went beyond legitimate critique and entered the area of harassment. The significance here is that Meghan is not just any public figure, she is a woman of colour, a former actress who married into the British royal family, a mother, and someone who has been the target of media hostility for years. When Graham amplified those attacks, he wasn't operating in a vacuum. He was part of a broader culture of disrespect. We should ask, what does it mean when a broadcaster repeatedly uses his platform to punch downward at a figure like Meghan Markle? It means he is contributing to a toxic narrative, and evidently that toxicity built up a bill that someone had to pay. So what exactly triggered the exit? What tipped the balance from provocative talk show host to someone whose seat at the table was taken away? According to multiple sources, the breaking point came when Mike Graham's social media account posted a deeply offensive and racially charged message. Compare and contrast. Tell me we're not fed by multicultural bollocks. Why are we surrounded by non-white people? Just F. Although Graham claimed his account had been hacked, saying the post contained words that I would never write, the damage was done. In response, TalkTV removed him from his flagship morning slot, and sources say he is on an indefinite break. This moment is crucial. It wasn't just that he criticised Meghan Markle, it was that his broader behaviour and public platform culminated in a post that crossed not just the line of good taste, but into the territory of racism and digital recklessness. And for TalkTV, in an era when media companies are under intense scrutiny, that was untenable. Now, let's talk about why this feels like karma. In many ways, Graham's career arc demonstrates how persistent disrespect, especially when directed at someone already enduring unfair media treatment, eventually rebounds. Accumulated behaviour. He didn't just have one controversial moment. He had repeated patterns of attacking Meghan Markle, dismissing her claims, undermining her voice. Public shift. Public tolerance for media harassment, especially of women and minorities, is lower now than ever. What might once have been dismissed as just controversy now has consequences. Visibility and amplification. Being on a national platform like TalkTV means you're under scrutiny. Errors or offensive posts aren't hidden, they spread quickly. The exposed narrative. By targeting Meghan specifically, Graham placed himself into a wider narrative of media bullying. When the racially charged post emerged, the broader pattern was highlighted. So the karmic angle is years of aggressive commentary targeting a figure facing her own unfair media battles, culminating in a very public misstep, leading to professional consequences. You could argue that the universe and the public, through accountability culture, simply caught up with him. The main reason for Graham's firing, or at least his removal, isn't simply that he criticised Meghan Markle. A host can critique anyone. The issue is how he did that, and what he did off-air. The decisive factor: a publicly visible post with racially charged language on his verified account, which illustrated beyond doubt a disregard for the values the network needs to uphold. This wasn't a one-off slip. It was the culmination of a long history that put the broadcaster's credibility and the network's advertisers at risk. In short, the offensive post was the final straw. His history of targeting Meghan meant the public immediately recognised a pattern, not an isolated incident. TalkTV had to act because keeping him would signal tolerance for behaviour that damages their brand. For Meghan Markle, this is, in some sense, a vindication. It's not about celebrating the downfall of one man, but recognising that the culture of harassment she's faced has systemic roots. And when someone at that level is held accountable, it signals change. For the media landscape, presenters are not immune from backlash anymore. Audiences are more discerning, they track patterns of behaviour and hold networks accountable. It shows that using a platform to attack someone already under pressure eventually backfires. And for viewers, it's a reminder to pay attention not just to what is said, but how it's said and who is being targeted. The power of a microphone is real. Words matter. So what's next? Will Mike Graham return to TalkTV? Maybe, but under strict scrutiny. Will TalkTV tighten its policies on presenter conduct? Likely. Will this change how other broadcasters behave? Hopefully. This isn't a closed chapter, it's a turning point. And as we continue to follow Meghan and Harry's story, we'll be watching how the media responds and evolves. You know, stories like this remind us that the world really does have a way of balancing itself out. For years, people like Mike Graham used their platforms to tear others down, especially Meghan Markle. Every word, every sneer, every dismissive comment was meant to undermine her. And yet, look where we are today. Meghan is thriving. She's building her own brand, raising her children in peace, and continuing her humanitarian work, all while maintaining grace and composure. And the very voices that tried to silence her, the ones who claimed she was the problem, are now facing their own consequences. That's what karma looks like. It doesn't always come instantly. Sometimes it takes years, but it always arrives, quietly, decisively, and on its own schedule. What happened to Mike Graham is a cautionary tale not just for broadcasters or journalists, but for anyone who uses their voice to spread negativity. You can't keep attacking someone day after day and expect no repercussions. Sooner or later, your words catch up with you. And that's the beauty of this moment. Meghan didn't have to fight back publicly. She didn't need to engage or retaliate. She simply continued being who she is: calm, focused, compassionate. She let her actions speak louder than any tabloid headline or late-night rant. Now, with Mike Graham's downfall, the narrative shifts. The public sees through the media games. They see how hate-fueled commentary leads nowhere, and how dignity and grace, even under pressure, always win in the end. Maybe this is the beginning of something bigger, a media industry finally realizing that accountability matters, that truth matters. that harassment is not entertainment. So, as we close this chapter, let's take a moment to acknowledge how far things have come, and to remind ourselves that kindness, fairness, and empathy will always outlast cruelty and noise. Because at the end of the day, Meghan and Harry's story isn't one of scandal or chaos. It's a story of endurance, of faith in the power of truth. And moments like this prove that no matter how loud the hate gets, love and integrity always win. I'm Adrian, and this has been Meghan and Harry Tales. If you believe in justice, grace, and the power of karma, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we'll continue shining light on the truth that others try to bury. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and remember, the truth has a way of finding its voice.